There's a lot of questions about heaven, and there are a lot of answers. Did you know this? It's not just this nebulous idea. There are actually a lot of answers about heaven. And when you think of heaven, you may have some funny images of babies flying on a cloud with a harp, right? And I know for me, when I hear that, it just kind of makes me cringe. But I know that many people, that's where you automatically go, or you think of heaven, you almost have like an idea that it's going to be this everlasting Sunday school class that never, ever ends. And you're like, I don't want to spend eternity there, right? Like, you don't even want to think about it, because these are the, I think, false images that we have of heaven. Or how about this? A monolithic church in the sky that we will have a forever song service to God. And I'm like, that's not real appealing. You know, when we think of heaven, that's typically where we go to. And I get why people aren't really tuned in to eternity, because I believe we have some bad understandings of heaven. So it's really, for us, understanding heaven. Like, there are many people that think heaven is simply a state of mind, and it's not. You see, heaven is unique, and I want you to take notes here today. The first point I want you to understand is that heaven is a real place. It's not a state of mind. It's not a monolithic church or mall, golden mall in the sky, this nebulous idea or babies float. It's a real place. And we've got to understand, like, matter of fact, the word heaven means God's dwelling place. Isn't that cool? Heaven means God's dwelling place. And there's actually over 100 times in the Bible that heaven is described as a real place. And we're going to look at some of those today. But heaven is a place. God lives there. Jesus came from heaven and is there now, awaiting to return for you and me from heaven. It's a place. And last week in our conversation, Gordon and we talked about these realities of heaven, and it's a place of beauty. And if you're continuing to take notes, I want you to write this down. Not only is it a real place, but heaven is described as paradise. Now, the interesting thing about paradise is it means a place, or watch this, a park of future happiness. Isn't that interesting? A park or a place of future happiness. Now, in the scripture, 3 different people, very important people in scripture, describe heaven as paradise. Jesus, that's pretty important, right? John, Jesus' closest friend and associate when he was here, John says and describes heaven as paradise. And then Paul, the guy who wrote 2/3 of the whole New Testament, Paul describes paradise and heaven in the same words. So paradise is an important understanding. When we think of heaven, it is a paradise. Now, for us, it's the opposite of earth, okay? Now, I know we have images of the earth we live on, that there are places of paradise. For me, I want to share with you a place of paradise. It's the Bahamas, okay? Eleuthera, Bahamas, there it is. This is, when I think of paradise, I think of this. By the way, I took this picture with my phone. I did not put those conch shells there. I mean, that is paradise. You can all but hear the subtle rolling of the waves coming in, right? Even looking at this picture, you can see that the green ocean meets blue, and then it meets the blue sky. It's almost like never ending. That is a type of paradise. But the thing is heaven is a paradise, and paradise is not here on earth. There are images of paradise that we've all captured in our own minds, like mine I just shared with you. But let's look at what the Bible describes heaven as paradise. Let's look at those portions of scripture where it's described as paradise, because I think what this will do, this will help us understand and even get excited about the place that, Christian, you and me are going to spend eternity in, a place called heaven, a real place, and this place is paradise.